My name is Brooks Hickerson, and this is 16th of January, 2021. I'm plein air painting in Fields Park. I'm making this video for the Watercolor Society of Oregon. You might ask why you would do something like this. Come outside where it's cold and it's windy, and you've got kids and dogs, when you could be home safe in your comfortable studio. I can't imagine why somebody would want to do this. Over 100 years ago, the Impressionists discovered that the light outside was much different than the light inside the studio. There was more color in the shadows, more color in the light, and they were the ones that started painting outside. That's why it's called in plein air today. This is my rig. I've got water, paint, here's my palette with a couple of blues, a yellow, 2 orange, a couple of reds, a purple, and this is actually a turquoise. I use Utrecht paint. It comes like this, but rather than take all these 5-ounce tubes with me, I put them in this little box that comes from Ace Hardware. It's meant for fish hooks and things like that, screws. And I put the colors in there, and then I bring them out here. I use a paper palette. You can see it here. And I put out the acrylic paint on it, and then I paint on watercolor paper. Today, I'm doing a do-over. I'm painting over a previous painting on a piece of watercolor paper. My fashion statement this afternoon is my yellow raincoat, hand decorated by my great nephews, Adam and Charlie. Thank you, Adam and Charlie. The object of this exercise is to try to leave as much of the underpainting as I can, to let it peek through, to let the interesting colors come through. If you notice, we now have a train moving in the foreground before us and the Centennial Mill, and between us and the Fremont Bridge. I'm going to try to put some of this train in, and to do that I'm going to have to paint just as fast as I can. I'm starting with the Centennial Mill itself, which will obviously be the center of interest here. I just want to sketch it in, so I'll have a place to connect the bridge to and to connect the train to. I paint outside in Portland with a bunch of crazy artists who love to paint outdoors. Last year, due to the pandemic, we only painted outdoors 51 times. In previous years, we usually paint over 100 times a year. But if you think about it, that's only twice a week. But we get out there and paint in all weather at all times of the year. Well, last year, we stopped in March due to the pandemic and didn't start getting painting until July. Here I'm trying to leave the water tower that's on top. You can't see the water tower in the image, but there's a water tower on top of Centennial Mills. And I'm really trying to get down here to the train so I can get that train in before it goes by. The trains in this neighborhood sometimes only have, 100 or 150 cars in them. Right on the other side of the railroad track, behind Centennial Mills, is the Willamette River and the Port of Portland. The grain ships come up under the Fremont Bridge there, and there's where they come in empty and are loaded up with grain that comes down the Columbia rivers and barges. And from there, I guess they feed the world. I've been painting full time since 2002 when my wife and I moved to Eugene. And I borrowed from several of the artists that I met there. I borrowed the palette from Sarkis Anti-Cajun. If you notice, there are no earth tones on my palette. This is the way Sarkis paints. He says if he wants a muddy brown paint, he'll mix it himself. And I was painting there, and I met Humberto Gonzalez, and he said, "Brooks, why don't you come paint outside with us sometime?" So I went out and painted outside with him once, and that was it. I was smitten. That was so much more fun than painting inside in the studio. I took several workshops there, a couple from Humberto and a couple from Betts Cole. And Betts Cole is the one that says, "Brooks, why don't you try a little acrylic?" When I was doing watercolor only. Same thing happened with that. I used that acrylic. I said, "Boy, this is pretty neat color." So I've just continued to borrow from all kinds of artists that I've known here in the Northwest. Eric Sandgren is the one that said, "Well, I was trying to figure out how to get something to look like it was in front and something that looked like it in back," and he told me, "Well, overlap trumps all." So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to overlap. We're going to put that train right smack dab in front of Centennial Mill and in front of the bridge. And it's going to obviously be there no matter what color we use or what values we use. I love the gray days here in Portland in the Northwest. But I just can't take the gray colors all the time. And so invariably I wind up having to liven up colors just a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do today. It's a nice gray day out, which I really like. Damp, because the paints really run nicely. But I just need a little bit more color, and I'm going to work on that. The other painting I borrow from is Eric Weigart. I've had several of his workshops, and I just love the way he connects buildings and trees and beautiful shadows into interesting shapes. And so I'm always looking for ways to connect these objects into interesting shapes. As Eric puts it, paintings are entertainment. And I want to give people that look at the painting entertaining things to look at, see what they can see in these paintings. This hardy band of plein-air painters go all over Portland looking for views to paint. I don't have a car, So I take TriMet to the parks and the river views of Portland, the International Rose Test Garden, and the Wednesday Market at Szymanski Square, two of our favorite spots, have been off limits during the pandemic. Bummer. Similarly, we have not painted from the trails along the banks of the Willamette River in 2020. We're painting a little further out in order to avoid crowds. Hoyt Arboretum, Peninsula Park Rose Garden, Cathedral Park under St. John's Bridge, and even Selwood and Milwaukee have lovely painting locations without the crowds of downtown Portland. Portland State University has closed their buildings to the public, but the PSU campus has lovely views in their South Park campus and along the river from the covered deck of the Robertson Collaborative Life Sciences building near Tillicum Crossing. I call and ask permission to paint on any private property, but if we wander into a no painting zone, we have been run off. For example, we cannot paint from Ankeny Square in Old Town Portland, where the city has the no loitering rules that includes plein air painters. Green is what I call the Borg color from Star Trek, because resistance is futile. Once I start painting a little green, it looks wonderful. And I paint a little more, and I put a little more, and pretty soon it takes over the whole painting. So you have to watch out for green. Eventually, I'll figure it out here in a few minutes. Let's see if I do. Yes, we need a shape to that building a little bit. Yes. That's a little better. Yeah. See, I've shaped the building. And now I really do have to get rid of that green there right in the middle. Oh, that'll do. Let's put a little orange over it. Try to get it more, maybe the color of the building, so that the building and the train will become one shape, at least that one train car. So it won't be just two boxy squares there, but it'll be a more interesting shape, as Eric Weigart likes to call it. Then there's a car over on the right also, and it can add to the shape or take away from the shape of the building. If I can get it light enough, maybe it'll take away from the shape, and the car in the middle will add to the shape. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Now you'll notice the train is going the other direction. We had so many trains out there this afternoon that I had to take the audio off of this section of the video and re-record it later. The noise got so much from the train and from the traffic on the 409 Fremont Bridge. Here we go. Yes. Right. Now this will change the shape of the building. This will change the shape over here on the right. Now give us something interesting, the viewer something interesting to look at, so that the eye will tend to go all the way around the painting. Yeah, let's make that middle car just a little bit bigger. Oh, I can't help but put a little more on that green. Boy, that's tempting. And the green in the bush right in the middle, I've got to take some more out of that one. I can already tell it's too big. That's the nice thing about acrylic. I can go back and I can make things bigger. I can go back and add the light later back in, which is so hard in watercolor. Once you lose the light, it's gone. With acrylic, you lose a little light. I say, where's that white? I'll fix that. Here, I'll go back and put that sidewalk in that you can see in the distance there. There we go, and maybe put a little shape to those cars. If I could get some dark underneath those cars, it might actually look like those are rail cars. Even though I can't really see the dark very well standing out here. I know that there's dark underneath them where the wheels are. I don't think I need to put the wheels in, but at least get some dark down there so there's a top and a bottom on those rail cars. Oh my gosh, there's a dog walker in the distance. I've got to put him in the painting. I know that's too much, too late. Oh, but it's just too tempting when you're out here and you see somebody come by with a couple of dogs. Let's see if I can put him in somewhere. Yeah, there's a pretty good spot. I may just put one of the dogs in. I do want to get the shapes of the car, the shapes of the building, and get the windows in. Just a suggestion. I put too much detail in those windows. I get enamored with them. Yeah. Let's put a little bit of that dog in there too. Yeah, there he goes. Yeah. We'll make him a collie. So why in the world, back to why in the world we do this? The only thing I can think of is what John Kennedy said when he gave the speeches about going to the moon. He said, we don't do this because it's easy. We do it because it's hard. We don't paint outside because it's easy. We paint outside because it's hard. And it brings all these influences into us. The people walking by, the noise, the dogs, the kids. I actually love the kids because they'll come by. If I can talk to them, can persuade them. They'll actually paint on my painting for me. And wherever I've gotten a kid to paint on my painting, it always looks better than what I can do. There's something strange about that. I think it's the way the kids look at the world. I've got all these preconceived ideas of an old man that the kids look at the world and it's fresh and it's new and it's colors and it's shapes and they really get excited about painting. Somehow we managed to lose that in the elementary school somewhere, about the 3rd or 4th grade. But if I can just paint outside enough, maybe I can get just a little bit of that back. A little bit of back that enthusiasm that I had when I was 8 years old. So let's just keep painting outside. I've got to do something with that bridge, make it actually look like the Fremont Bridge. I'm not sure what to do over there. There, that building. See now The car on the right actually takes a chunk out of the building, changes the shape of the building. I like that a lot. Now here's what it finally came out with. I've included 2 hypertext videos, about a minute each, that were recorded on my Samsung S9 phone and edited with an app called UCut that's free. Here I'm at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in November. I try to come there every November, and it started raining. As you can tell, it's going to start getting darker and darker. I straighten up the easel to try to keep the rain off of it, but as you can see, the rain ran down, which I really like the effect of. The next video is in back of the Portland Art Museum, where I'm painting the YWCA elm across the street. I love this tree. It turns beautiful, beautiful colors in the fall. And we always try to get out here and paint it. If you'd like to join us plein air painting in Portland, you can find our calendar at pleinairbbrooks.org/calendar, or you can email me at brooks.hickerson@gmail.com. We always enjoy painting with other painters. The more the merrier. So join us if you can. And thanks for watching.